Be me, 31, software engineer at a fintech company in Minneapolis. Remote worker, $127,000 a year plus equity. Live in a two-bedroom apartment in the Loring Park neighborhood. Mid-century building, hardwood floors, radiator heat, the kind of place that feels warm in January. Moved in 3 years ago, signed the lease in my name alone. My life before her was quiet. Work from home, lift weights 3 times a week, cook most of my meals. See my mom in Wisconsin once a month. Hang out with my best friend Chris on Saturday nights for poker or a Timberwolves game. I'm not a complicated guy. Grew up in a small town outside Eau Claire. Raised by my mom alone after my dad took off when I was 7. She waitressed, cleaned houses, took night classes to become a dental hygienist. She taught me to do laundry at age 9. Taught me to cook spaghetti sauce from scratch at age 11. Taught me to vacuum, to make my bed, to scrub a toilet properly. Nobody's going to marry a man who can't take care of himself, she'd say. She said a lot of things like that. Never raise your voice at a woman. Always fix your own problems before you ask her to fix them. A good man makes his partner's life easier, not harder. I believed all of it. Still believe most of it. The problem with believing that stuff is you end up with certain kinds of women. Women who can smell a compliant man from a mile away. Women who mistake your decency for permission. That's the story. This story starts in July 2024. I've been seeing a woman named Hannah casually for about 2 months. Nothing serious, just dinner sometimes. Hannah invited me to a book club. Not my thing, but she was cute and I wanted to be supportive. We showed up at a coffee shop on Hennepin Avenue. 8 people around a table, book called All About Love by Bell Hooks. I hadn't read it. Hannah had. The discussion leader was a woman named Maya. 28 years old, marketing manager at some B Corp, worked in sustainability messaging. Dark hair, glasses, a laugh that filled the whole shop. She led the discussion like a professor. Asked sharp questions, pushed back on easy answers. At one point, she looked at me directly. Maya, what do you think, new guy? Me? I didn't read the book. Maya, then what are you doing here? Me? Being a supportive boyfriend, apparently. Everyone laughed. Hannah didn't. Maya did. 2 weeks later, Hannah and I ended things mutual. 3 weeks after that, Maya messaged me on Instagram. Did you ever finish the book? No. Want to discuss it over dinner anyway. And that was that. The first 6 months were good. Actually, the first 3 months were amazing. She was smart. She was funny. She was affectionate. Told me I was refreshingly uncomplicated. Said I didn't carry the baggage of other men. Those should have been warnings. I heard them as compliments. She was vegan, which was fine. I'd cook us dinner 3 nights a week. She'd order takeout the other nights. She didn't cook much. She said cooking was gendered labor I'm actively interrogating. I thought that meant she was thinking about it. I didn't realize it meant she wasn't doing it. She had a Substack called The Shared Load. About 400 subscribers at the time, free. Posts about feminism, relationships, emotional labor, that kind of thing. I read a few of them. Thought they were well written. Didn't agree with all of it, but she was smart. I liked that she had her own thing. December 2024. She started staying at my place most nights. Then every night. Then she'd say things like, should I just keep some clothes here? And it's silly that I'm paying rent on an apartment I don't sleep in. By early January 2025, she'd moved in without a formal conversation. Her lease was up. She just didn't renew. Moved her stuff over on a weekend. I was visiting my mom. Came home to find her clothes in my closet and her toothbrush in my bathroom. I was happy about it. Mostly. My apartment stopped looking like mine almost immediately. She replaced my lamps with her lamps. Brought in a rug, a pair of armchairs from her old place. Put up art I didn't really understand. Which was fine. It was our place now. That's what I told myself. February 2025. This is when I should have left. I didn't. One Saturday morning, she sat me down at the kitchen table. She had her laptop open. She had made a Notion page titled Household Equity Tracker. Maya, I've been thinking about how we distribute domestic labor. Me? Okay. Maya, I want us to be intentional about it. Avoid the default gender patterns. Me? Sure. Maya. So I built us a system. She walked me through it. It had categories: physical labor, mental labor, emotional labor, aesthetic labor, anticipatory labor. Each task had a point value. Cooking dinner was 15 points. Doing dishes was 8 points. Taking out trash was 3 points. Remembering to buy toilet paper before it ran out was 12 points. That one was anticipatory labor. Planning a date night was 20 points. Emotional check-ins with each other was 10 points each, supposed to balance to 50 at the end of every week. Me. This seems like a lot. Maya. It's a tool for fairness. Me. We're already fair. Maya. That's what all men think. The data will show us the truth. I laughed. I thought she was kidding. She wasn't. We started using it. I set a reminder on my phone to log entries at 9 p.m. every night. I thought it would die in a month. It didn't. End of week 1. Maya sat down at the kitchen table with her laptop. Maya, audit time. Me, audit time. Maya, Sunday audits. We review the tracker, discuss any imbalances, and set intentions for the following week. The first audit lasted 45 minutes. The second one lasted 70 minutes. The third one lasted 90 minutes. They never got shorter. March 2025. I was doing more than her. On spreadsheet said so. I was at 62% of the weekly labor. She was at 38%. I pointed this out during a Sunday audit. I thought she'd be surprised. I thought she'd maybe help more. Maya, you're right. The numbers show an imbalance. Me. So maybe I do less and you do more. Maya. Or maybe we're not measuring the right things. Me. What do you mean? Maya. The tracker doesn't capture certain types of labor. Aesthetic labor, ambient labor, safety labor. Me. What's aesthetic labor? Maya. The mental work of maintaining personal presentation in relationship context. I do more of that. Me. You wear makeup because you want to. Maya. I wear makeup because patriarchy requires me to. Me. So don't wear it. Maya. That's a naive response, Ryan. It shows you don't understand the pressure women face. She added 3 new categories to the tracker that night. Aesthetic labor, ambient labor, safety labor. Safety labor was defined as mental energy spent managing physical safety in daily contexts. Things like planning routes home at night, which she did about twice a month. She gave herself 15 points per week for safety labor. Suddenly, she was at 54%. I was at 46%. The imbalance had been corrected. By changing the math, I noticed I didn't say anything. I don't know why. Actually, I didn't know why. I wanted peace. I wanted her to be happy. I wanted to avoid the Sunday audit running past 90 minutes. I told myself I was being mature, picking my battles, being the bigger person. That's what I told myself. April 2025. My mom called on a Sunday afternoon, like she always did. Every Sunday at 3 p.m. without fail. Maya was in the living room with me when the phone rang. I took it into the bedroom, talked to my mom for maybe 25 minutes. Usual stuff, how work was going, how her knee was. Came back to the living room. Maya was sitting very still on the couch. Maya, we need to talk. Me? Okay. Maya, your mother calls every Sunday. Me? Yeah. Maya, I've been thinking about that pattern. Me, what about it? Maya, it's a form of filial labor extraction. Me, it's my mom calling me. Maya, she raised you alone. She invested in you emotionally. And now she extracts returns on that investment through scheduled contact. Me, she's 63 years old and she misses me. Maya, that's the narrative you've been given. I want you to examine whether it's the truth. Me, Maya, my mom loves me. Maya, I'm sure she does. And love can coexist with patterns of extraction. Many of the healthiest relationships require boundary work with parents, especially single mothers and their sons. I didn't know what to say. I ended up in tears, not because I agreed with her, because I was so tired of trying to explain myself. I'd spent an hour defending a phone call. Maya held me afterward, said she was proud of me for allowing the vulnerability, said this was what deep relational work looked like. I called my mom the next day, told her I loved her, didn't tell her what had happened. May 2025, Maya's Substack started getting more subscribers. She'd gone from 400 to about 1,200, launched a paid tier at $6 a month. Her posts had gotten more personal, less theory, more specific stories. I realized, reading one of them late one night, that she was writing about me. The post was called "On Dating a Man Who's Unlearning." It described, in anonymized detail, a partner who called his mother too often, a partner who resisted accountability structures, a partner who mistakes compliance for growth. It was me. Every line was me. She hadn't told me she was writing it. My coworkers read that Substack. One of them, a woman named Priya, sent me a link with a single question mark. I didn't reply. I didn't confront Maya either. I didn't know how. I didn't want another 90-minute audit. June 2025. Maya implemented something she called Deep Audit Protocol. It replaced the Sunday audit. Now, it was a weekly meeting with a written agenda she prepared. She typed up notes. She distributed them to both of us via email beforehand. The meeting would cover 1. Weekly labor metrics review. 2. Emotional check-in ratings. We rated our emotional closeness 1 to 10 daily. 3. Conflict inventory. Any unresolved friction from the week. 4. Intention setting for the coming week. 5. Book/article discussion from her assigned reading. It took 2 hours now, sometimes 2.5. I stopped making plans for Sunday afternoons. Sunday was for the audit. I wasn't an equal partner in the audit. She had the agenda. She had the notes. She had the framing. I was the subject being audited. I'd sit there while she described patterns she'd observed in my behavior. I noticed this week you defaulted to certain decision-making postures. I noticed you didn't initiate a deeper emotional check-in on Wednesday. I noticed your tone was elevated when we discussed the dishwasher. I apologize. Sometimes I wouldn't even know what I was apologizing for. I just apologize. She'd accept the apology. We'd set intentions. The meeting would end. I go take a shower and stand under the water until it ran cold. July 2025. My best friend Chris was getting married. Catholic Church in St. Paul. I'd known Chris since we were 12 years old. I was his best man. Maya said she couldn't attend. Maya, the Catholic Church is incompatible with my politics. Me, it's Chris's wedding, not the Vatican. Maya, it's still a Catholic ceremony. Maya, my presence there would be tacit endorsement. Me, Maya, please. Maya, I'm sorry, Ryan. I have to be consistent with my values. I went alone, danced with my mom at the reception. She asked where Maya was. I lied, said she was sick. Mom looked at me, didn't push. Just said, Ryan, you look tired. Me, I'm fine, Mom. Mom, you don't look fine. Me, it's a long week at work. Mom, okay, honey, get some sleep. I drove home at 1 a.m. Maya was awake, sitting on the couch with her laptop. Maya, how was it? Me, good. Maya, we should talk about something. Me, can we talk tomorrow? Maya, no, I think we should talk now. She closed her laptop. Maya, I've been thinking about your attendance tonight. Me, Maya, I'm exhausted. Maya, I know, but this is important. By attending a ceremony in an institution I find harmful. You made a statement about our alignment. Me, I went to my best friend's wedding. Maya, you could have declined and made your values legible to him. Me, he's known me since I was 12. He knows my values. Maya, does he? Or does he know a version of you that precedes our relationship? I sat down on the floor of the living room, leaned my head against the wall. I was 31 years old, and I was sitting on my own hardwood floor because my girlfriend wanted to process the ethics of me attending a wedding. Maya sat next to me on the floor, put her hand on my leg. Maya, I know this is hard. Growth is hard. I'm so proud of how far you've come. I started crying. I didn't know what I was crying about. I think I was crying because I realized I couldn't remember the last time I'd laughed. August 2025. She introduced the affirmation journal, a leather-bound notebook she bought me as a gift. I was supposed to write in it every morning before starting work. 3 ways I benefited from male socialization that day. 3 ways I planned to decenter myself. A brief reflection on the previous day's power distribution. She reviewed it weekly. If my entries were insufficiently substantive, I rewrote them. I rewrote entries 6 times that August. I'd sit at my kitchen table before work, trying to come up with new ways I benefited from male socialization, running out of ideas after the 4th one. Inventing benefits I wasn't sure I had, not because I believed I needed to write them, because I knew the consequence of not writing them was another Sunday audit, possibly extended to 3 hours, possibly escalated to emergency alignment meeting on a Wednesday night. I couldn't afford another Wednesday night. I had work in the morning. September 2025. I started having panic attacks. First one happened at my desk during a video call. Heart racing, hands sweating, couldn't catch my breath. Had to mute myself and fake a network issue. Came back 5 minutes later and finished the meeting. Second one happened in the grocery store. Third one happened at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. I sat in the bathroom on the floor for 40 minutes, not wanting to wake Maya, not wanting her to know, because if she knew, it would become a topic in the audit. I found a therapist without telling her. His name was Dr. Mark Henson. He was 66 years old. Office on the 2nd floor of an old medical building. Leather armchairs, books on the walls, the smell of old coffee. First session, I talked for 40 minutes straight. Told him everything. The tracker, the audits, the journal, the mother call. He listened, didn't write anything down. At the end of the session, he looked at me. Dr. Henson, Ryan, why are you still there? Me, I love her. Dr. Henson, okay. He didn't say anything else. Just let it sit. I went home and sat in my car for 20 minutes before going upstairs, trying to figure out what okay meant. I went back the next week. Dr. Henson asked me the same question again. Me? I don't know. Dr. Henson, better answer. Third session, he asked a different question. Dr. Henson, when was the last time you felt like yourself? I couldn't remember. I genuinely couldn't remember. I went back to my car and cried. Called my mom from the parking lot. Told her I was in therapy. Didn't tell her why. She was quiet for a long time. Mom, is it because of her? Me? Why would you ask that? Mom, because of what I saw when you came for Chris's wedding. You look like your father used to look. The last year before he left. Like someone who was disappearing. Me? Mom, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I see. And I'm your mother. So I'm allowed to see it. October 2025. My mom came to visit for a weekend. I've been asking for months. Maya had finally agreed. My mom arrived Friday night. Drove down from Eau Claire in her 12-year-old Camry. Brought homemade cookies. Brought a cross-stitch she'd made for my apartment. Maya greeted her at the door. Was polite, charming, smiling. For about 2 hours. Then at dinner. Maya, Judith, I'd love to hear about your marriage. Mom, what about it, honey? Maya, you raised Ryan alone. I'm interested in what that experience taught you. Mom, oh, a lot of things. Mom, I learned how to change a water heater. Mom, I learned how to make a chicken feed 4 people. Mom, I learned that Ryan was a good kid and I was lucky. Maya, but before that, when you were still with Ryan's father, did you notice patterns of extraction you accommodated? My mom put her fork down. Mom, excuse me. Maya, I'm asking if you recognize, in retrospect, ways you were accommodating patriarchal defaults. Mom, honey, he left us. Mom, I'd say the biggest pattern I was accommodating was a man with a drinking problem. Maya, and the labor you performed during that marriage. Maya, the cooking, the cleaning, the emotional maintenance. Maya, was that freely chosen or socially conditioned? Mom looked at me. Her eyes were tired and sad. Mom, Ryan, where's the guest bedroom? Me? Mom, Maya was just. Mom, Ryan, where's the guest bedroom? I showed her the guest bedroom. She closed the door. I stood in the hallway. Then I walked back to the kitchen. Maya was clearing plates. Maya, That was unfortunate. Me. You interrogated my mother. Maya. I asked her questions. Me. You asked her if she'd been complicit in her own abandonment. Maya. I asked her if she'd examined her socialization. Those are not the same thing. Me. They're when you ask them at a dinner table the first time you meet someone. Maya. Ryan, your tone right now. Maya. This is exactly what we've been working on. I didn't respond. I went to bed. Slept on the couch. Maya pretended not to notice. My mom left the next morning. Didn't stay the whole weekend. Said she wasn't feeling well. I walked her to her car. She hugged me for a long time. Mom. Ryan. She doesn't love you. Me? Mom. Mom. She's studying you. Mom. There's a difference. Mom. And she's not even good at hiding it. Me? Mom, please. Mom. I love you, Ryan. Mom. Whenever you figure it out, I'll be in Eau Claire. Doors open. She drove away. I stood on the sidewalk until I couldn't see her car anymore. November 2025. I opened a new bank account at a different bank. Started moving money into it. $400 here, $600 there. Nothing big enough to trigger our joint budget review. Yes, we had a joint budget review. I started keeping a go bag in my car. Change of clothes, toothbrush, laptop charger. Didn't know what I was preparing for. Knew I needed to be preparing for something. I saw Dr. Henson every week. He never told me to leave. He kept asking questions. When you imagine your life a year from now, what does it look like? Who do you talk to when you're happy? What do you do for joy? I couldn't answer any of them. He didn't push. He just let the questions hang in the air. Like mirrors I was slowly learning to look at. December 2025. For Christmas, Maya gave me what she called a relationship growth plan. A 14-page document bound, titled Ryan's Year of Radical Alignment. It outlined everything I needed to become by December 2026 to remain a viable partner. It included a required reading list of 23 books, 3 therapy sessions per week minimum, a pledge to donate 20% of my after-tax income to intersectional causes, which she would select, a commitment to professionally realign over the coming year. Working in fintech is ideologically incompatible with our shared values. We will identify a nonprofit role that aligns with movement work, salary expectations adjusted accordingly. I read it 3 times. She sat across from me, watching me read, waiting for my reaction. Maya, I know it's a lot. Maya, but I wanted to give you the gift of clarity. Me, you want me to quit my job? Maya, I want you to evolve your work. Me, I make $127,000 a year. Maya, and we can live on less. Me, your salary is $82,000. Maya, salary isn't the only metric that matters. Me, it is for rent. Maya, Ryan, you're reducing this to economics. Maya, I'm talking about who you want to be. She pulled out her laptop. Maya, I've already applied to 3 positions for you. A climate nonprofit in St. Paul, a reproductive rights organization, and a food justice collective. Maya, all of them are $45,000 to $52,000. Maya, enough to live on if we restructure our spending. I sat there holding the 14-page document, thinking about the 3 years it had taken me to make $127,000. The nights I'd studied after undergrad. The boot camp I'd paid for myself. The entry-level job I'd grinded through. The promotion I'd earned 18 months ago. Thinking about my mom, who cleaned houses until she was 54. Thinking about Dr. Henson's chair in the old medical building. Thinking about the word evolve. How she kept using it. Me? Maya. Maya. Yes. Me? I need to think about this. Maya. Take all the time you need. Maya. I want this to be your choice. I took it to bed. Slept badly. Woke up at 5 a.m. on December 29th, 2025. Knew what I was going to do. Just didn't know when. January 2026. I started planning. Not emotionally. Logistically. I'm an engineer. I know how to plan a migration. I listed every physical item in the apartment that was mine versus hers. I listed every account, every bill, every recurring payment that touched both of us. I made a spreadsheet. The first spreadsheet of mine that she didn't know about. It felt like the first thing in a year that was just mine. I researched my lease, called the property manager anonymously, asked about early termination clauses, learned that Minnesota had a provision for substantive psychological hardship. Dr. Henson would document it. I asked him during our next session. He said yes. Didn't ask why. Just said, Ryan, whenever you're ready, I'll have the documentation. I paid for 3 months of a storage unit in advance. Moved things there in small batches. Books, off-season clothes, tools from the hallway closet. Maya didn't notice. She was busy. Her Substack had grown to 4,000 subscribers. She was getting podcast invites. She was spending more time writing, less time auditing. I was relieved. I used the audit-free hours to pack. I told my mom 2 weeks in. Called her from my car in a parking lot. Mom, I'm leaving her. Mom, okay. Mom, when? Me? I don't know yet. Mom, okay. Mom, I'll have a room ready. That was the whole conversation. She didn't say, I told you so. She didn't cry. She just said, okay. Twice. She was a woman of few words, but she meant every one of them. I told Chris the week after. We met at a bar downtown. He ordered 2 beers and 2 shots before I said anything. Chris, finally. Me? Finally? Chris, dude, the wedding was 8 months ago. Chris, I've been waiting. Me? You noticed? Chris, Ryan, everyone noticed. Me? Nobody said anything. Chris, that's because you're an adult. Chris, I was never going to tell you to leave your girlfriend. Chris, I was going to wait for you to figure it out. Chris, and when you did, I was going to buy you drinks. Me, here we are. Chris, here we are. We didn't talk about Maya the rest of the night. Talked about the Timberwolves. Talked about his wife, who was pregnant. Talked about nothing that mattered. It was the best night I'd had in a year and a half. Late February 2026. Maya was going to a Wambson's retreat in Wisconsin. 3 days, Friday to Sunday. She'd been planning it for months. I drove her to the train station Friday morning. Kissed her on the cheek. Told her I hoped the weekend would be rejuvenating. Drove home. Called a moving company I'd already hired. 2 guys showed up at my apartment at 10 a.m. Loaded my remaining things in 3 hours. I had a list. They followed it exactly. Everything in the list went into the truck. Everything not in the list stayed. At 2 p.m., the apartment was empty of me. Maya's stuff was still there. Her rug, her art, her lamps, her armchairs. Our shared furniture that I'd paid for and she'd picked. I left it all. I wanted her to walk into that apartment Sunday night and see nothing missing of hers and nothing remaining of me. I sat down at the kitchen table, wrote a 1-page letter on a legal pad. Ryan, it said at the top, because I was writing it as if I was someone else explaining me. Then I crossed it out and wrote Maya instead. The letter said, Maya, I'm moving out. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. I'm not coming back. Please do not contact me. Do not call my mother. Do not show up at my office. The apartment is leased through July. I've already paid the early termination fee. The lease is being transferred to you as of March 1st. The property manager will contact you Monday. I've removed my name from all joint accounts. The utilities are in your name now. I don't owe you an explanation, but I want to say one thing for the record. I spent 14 months trying to become the man you needed me to be. I could never get there. I think that's because you didn't want me to get there. I think you wanted me to try. That's a cruel way to love someone. I hope you figure out why you did it. I won't be around to hear the answer. Ryan, I put the letter on the kitchen counter. Put my apartment keys on top of the letter. Put a printed copy of the lease transfer paperwork on top of the keys. Walked out of the apartment. Didn't look back. Drove to my storage unit. Took my most important boxes to a 1-bedroom I'd rented in St. Paul. Kept the rest in storage for later. The apartment had a couch, a bed, a kitchen table, 1 chair. Nothing on the walls. Nothing in the closets except my clothes. I sat on the couch. Listened to the silence. Realized I hadn't heard silence like that in a year and a half. Cried for 20 minutes. Not sad crying, just release crying. Called my mom. Told her it was done. She said okay again. Told her I loved her. She said, I know. I turned my phone off. Slept for 11 hours. Longest sleep I'd had since January 2025. Next morning, I changed my number. Blocked her on everything. Told my HR at work to flag any contact from her as harassment. Told the lobby of my office to add her to the watch list. She tried to call the office on Monday morning. HR handled it. She showed up at my mother's house Tuesday evening, 6 hours from Minneapolis to Eau Claire. My mom opened the door, saw Maya close the door. Didn't say a word. Didn't open it again. Maya stood on the porch for 20 minutes. Then left. Mom texted me. She came. She left. You okay? Me? Yeah, Mom. Thanks. Mom. Love you. Me? Love you too. A week went by. I didn't hear anything. Then Priya from work sent me a link. Subject line, it was a Substack post titled, When Men Weaponize Departure. Maya had written about me. Call me anonymized. But everyone who knew us knew. She described a partner who had silently planned exit as an act of control, who had used the geography of absence as emotional weapon, who had refused the work of accountable ending, who had weaponized departure instead of staying present to complete our growth. The post had 14,000 reads in the first 24 hours. Her biggest post ever. By the end of the week, it was at 38,000. She gained 2,000 paid subscribers. At $6 a month, that's $12,000 in monthly recurring revenue. From a single post. About my departure. She announced a podcast 2 weeks later, called The Abandonment Archive, about patterns of male flight from accountability. 900 listeners in the first month. By March 2026, she had 2,400 subscribers paying $6 a month. $14,400 a month. $172,000 a year. More than I made. I was told this secondhand. By Priya, who couldn't stop checking the Substack. Who felt guilty for checking, but couldn't stop. I didn't look myself. I didn't need to. I went to Dr. Henson the Tuesday after I left. He said, "How was your weekend?" I said, "I moved out." He said, "Congratulations." We sat in silence for maybe 3 minutes. Dr. Henson, "How does it feel?" Me, "I don't know yet." Dr. Henson, "That's normal." Dr. Henson, "You spent 14 months being told how to feel." Dr. Henson, "You're going to need some practice finding out on your own." I started practicing. March 2026. 1 month out. I've gained 14 pounds back. I'd lost 22 pounds over the relationship. Didn't even realize it. My therapist asked me to take a photo of myself the week I left. Compare it to a photo from 2023. It was startling. Different man. Hollow-eyed, drawn, older. Not a bad man. Just a disappearing one. I'm sleeping through the night now. Most nights. I'm cooking again. Real food, slow food, food that takes time. Without tracking it in a spreadsheet. I bought groceries last week without thinking about anticipatory labor. It felt like rain after a drought. I haven't dated anyone. Not ready. Don't want to be ready yet. I want to sit in my own apartment for a while. With my own furniture. Sleep in a bed that's mine. Wake up when I want to. Call my mom without reporting the call afterward. Go to a wedding without getting cross-examined when I come home. Watch a movie Maya would have hated. Those small things. The things I didn't know were privileges until I lost them. My mom came down last month. Stayed for a weekend. Made dinner in my new kitchen. Spaghetti sauce from scratch, the way she'd taught me when I was 11. We ate at the kitchen table, the small one I'd bought on Facebook Marketplace. She looked around. The bare apartment. "Mom, it's nice." Me, "It's empty." "Mom, it's yours." "Mom, there's a difference." I've been thinking about that a lot. The difference between empty and yours. I had a full apartment for 14 months. Full of rugs and lamps and art and a woman who loved me. Or said she loved me. It was the emptiest I've ever felt. Now I have one couch, a kitchen table, a bed. And I've never felt more like myself. Chris comes over on Saturdays sometimes. Drinks a beer, watches the game, doesn't ask about her. Priya sent me one more Substack post. This one was titled The Long Road Back to My Own Voice. Maya had monetized the second month of her processing. I didn't read it. I blocked Priya from sending me links. Told her gently. Said I love you, please stop. She understood. Hasn't sent any since. Last week, I went on a hike alone. Greater than 30 minutes outside the city. Walked for 2 hours. Didn't think about Maya. Not even once. Realized that halfway through the drive home. That was the first time since I'd met her. 2 years, almost. Without a single thought of her in 120 minutes. That was the win. Not the escape. Not the letter. Not the silence when I closed the apartment door. The hike. Walking alone in the woods and not thinking about her. That was the day I came back. To myself. That's the story. I had a feminist girlfriend who demanded total domestic submission. She built systems to measure me, categories to rank me, documents to guide me, a podcast, eventually, to process me after I left. What she didn't build, ever, was a relationship. She built a project. I was the project. And the project ended when I walked out of the apartment with a letter on the counter. She's still running the project. Just now the project is about why the project left. Making more money than ever. With a larger audience. Some of them women who've done the same thing to their partners. Some of them women who've had it done to them. All of them paying $6 a month to hear her figure out loud why the thing she built couldn't hold a human being. She'll figure it out or she won't. That's not my problem anymore. My problem is getting out of bed in the morning. Eating 3 meals. Sleeping through the night. Calling my mom without apologizing. Laughing at a Chris joke without auditing the laugh. Becoming a person again, month by month, small thing by small thing. I'm 31 years old. I spent a year and a half being someone else's revolution. Now I'm learning how to be nobody's anything. Just Ryan. Just a guy from Eau Claire who moved to Minneapolis.